In this video, I want to break down the Arkham Batman's fighting style and the concepts to take away from it. Before I begin, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. Watch me stream Tuesdays to Thursdays, 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or UTC 5 on Twitch or right here on YouTube. Join my Discord server for updates on when I stream next and to add new suggestions for new videos. And to support the channel even more, hit that join button for $2.99 a month. Now, because the Arkham Batman is a video game character, you have multiple ways of beating up the villains, which luckily also fits the actual character, who's learned 127 martial arts and has the physical capabilities beyond most humans. As such, I'm going to categorize them into 3 vague styles of fighting for the Arkham Batman. First is a brawler style, which is where you go out and basically beat their ass, showing yourself in front of the enemy. Starting with the stance, you can go with a neutral stance, walking up to them and knocking them out. It's a risky stance because your head's exposed, and if your hands or legs aren't fast enough to strike, you might get knocked out. But it does have the benefit of surprise. A modified version would be your hands up, palms facing the opponent to feign submission, but having the ability to strike or defend your head or body because your arms are up. The other stance he uses is a counter stance when you hit the Y button on the Xbox controller, which is a blade-like stance. It's not bad either, though the stance itself is a little wide, so it may be harder to move around, and the front hand is down towards the waist for like a quick punch maybe, but the back hand is in a weird position, ready for a punch, which can be kind of predictable. Instead, something like a tie stance is probably a better fit for brawling. Hips forward, equal weight on both legs when you start out, to give you similar power on both arms when punching, the ability to check leg kicks, and have some protection against takedowns. It isn't perfect either, as it exposes what would be called the center line in like wushu, and while your head and throat are always kind of exposed no matter the stance, unless you're like shelling up, you also expose your solar plexus and your groin. However, if you can defend these areas well, this is a pretty good stance. Also, when watching Batman strike, he seems to telegraph his punches, which is not a good idea. He can do it because duh, he's Batman. But in reality, you want to keep your strikes clean, not letting the opponent know what's coming unless it's for a setup. There's a great video by Boss Rutan breaking down his methods and talking about some of these concepts. It's about like 40 plus minutes long, which you should definitely check out. In the actual style itself, Batman throws a lot of different techniques, including punches, kicks, elbows, knees, and a variation of these. Some of the variations are more riskier than others, for example, a sweeping kick from the floor or a donkey kick. And while these might have a time and place, it's best to not try this until you get a lot of experience. For most people, I would stick to more simple movements like a jab, straight, hook, uppercut, elbows and knees when close, and kicks as part of a combo, or like a switch kick if it's fast enough. By the way, when doing a combo, you see Batman is able to do like 15 or 20 strikes before the guy gets knocked out or stops. This is not realistic, don't make it too long, instead keep it simple with only a couple of strikes and then backing up. Another set of actions that Batman does is that he goes to the ground, though not always. While grappling in itself is a great thing to learn and should be learned, in a fight with multiple opponents, trying to pull guard or just willingly going onto the floor is a terrible idea. The moves I mentioned previously, like the sweeping kick or the donkey kick, both require him to be low on the ground or on the ground. The reason why it's a bad idea is because it makes it harder to move around, but way easier for the opponent to like stomp your face, stomp your neck, hit your groin area, hold you down, or crowd you. It's best to stay on your feet in my opinion, and if you get too overwhelmed, to bolt when you have the chance. In line with this, there is a move that the opponents do where they tackle Batman to the ground if you don't dodge him, and you don't want this in real life either, as there is a chance that a fight can go to the ground. As such, to lower your chances, what you want to do is work on your takedown defense. In the long run, working on your BJJ and wrestling will obviously help you with your takedown defense as it's a part of it, but hyperfixating on it is a good idea. This means keeping your feet moving, working on sprawls, hell, throwing a knee to their face if they go for a takedown, and more. You'd also want to add in offensive techniques, including that knee throw, along with like a judo throw, whether it be hips or shoulder or whatever else exists, sweeps and trips like in Muay Thai, where you're still standing up and you trip their feet once they get into a vulnerable position, and keeping the concepts and even some of the training methods of like sumo wrestling, where if anything besides your 2 feet touch the ground, you lose. The Arkham Batman also uses gymnastics or acrobatics to assist in his fights, where if you hit A, you can jump over and dodge many attacks. I've mentioned this in a different video as well, that doing acrobatics or gymnastics in a fight is super dangerous, but if you really want to do it, an example in real life would be someone like Michael Pereira in the UFC, who does some of these crazy movements. The next style is more sneaky, knocking people out without them seeing you. This requires extra steps, but can be useful in cases where straight up fighting isn't possible or effective. Using the game as a scenario, here are some of the steps you can take and the concepts that can be helpful to take away from that. First is reconnaissance. Batman is able to grapple up into high points around the area, and then using the iconic detective mode, able to see how many enemies there are, if they're armed, if they have healers, if they're wearing padding, drone controllers, etc. In reality, recon can be used for a multitude of examples. One such example would be if you're trying to get a job, you'd want to research the company that you're applying to. What are they looking for? What skills do they need? What are their buzzwords? Etc. Second is creating a tactical and or strategic plan using the information that you have gained. Going back to the game, you want to prioritize certain enemies over others. In my case, I would prioritize taking out the healers, because if you don't, they'll keep reviving people and you'll have more people to fight. Using the disruptor, for example, to take away their healing powers, and they don't even realize that it's been taken over. A similar case would be prioritizing the detective mode scrambler. And if you take this guy out first, you get your vision back. In the case of real life, on that job interview, would be to take those skills that acquired by the company and tailor them to your resume and cover letter to make you more of a viable candidate. Third is staying calm. Even with all these plans and information, you can still get caught by an enemy and you can get shot at or hit with like a baseball bat or punched. In that case, you want to stay calm and salvage the situation as best as possible. The same can be said in real life, where faced with failure, to stay calm and push forward. Breathing techniques, exercise, meditation are some great ways to stay calm and keep yourself collected. In the game, you can then restart after you fail and use that experience to try again. In real life, you cannot go back in time and take that same job interview. However, you can use the experience of that failure in the next one. Combining these two styles is ideal, as it gives you more options in the case that you were spotted by the enemy, like I just mentioned. It may be the best option to just knock them out and continue hiding. The third isn't really a style, but is the addition of weapons. Now, Batman uses a variety of weapons. I'm going to focus on the ones in Arkham Knight. Number 1 is the Batarang, super iconic, and can be useful in real life. You'd want a bigger boomerang, like a real boomerang, as they are large weapons that can be used in a melee situation, but are dense and strong enough to knock people out if you throw them with accuracy. Of course, you need to practice the skill and understand that you are losing a weapon once you throw it away. The second is the grappling gun. There's an iconic scene in Arkham Origins where you fight Slade and you can drag his bow staff closer to you. While a grappling gun in that small capacity for personal use that can be purchased does not exist to my best knowledge, a good substitute would be a whip, like Catwoman's whip. I made a video on this topic on how to be Catwoman in real life, which you can check out. But basically, you're able to whip them, and besides leaving nasty gashes, you can wrap around their arms or whatever weapon they're carrying, if you're good enough, and pull them closer. Third is smoke bombs. Now, while you can't see through the smoke bombs like Batman could, because you don't have detective mode in real life, it's still a good distraction and a great way to get away if you're getting overwhelmed. The fourth is the remote electrical charge gun, which is basically a taser, meaning that it shoots out 2 prongs that connects to the body, giving an electrical shock when activated. However, if you miss one of the prongs, it may not work, and an alternative could be a stun gun, which requires a closer proximity, so kind of like Batman's electrical knuckles. The freeze grenade is not possible, the line launcher is not really possible, the explosive gel could be possible, but I'm not going to talk about it because it may be demonetizable, because it is an explosive. Also, another great idea is that when you fight, Batman is able to pick up different objects, like for example bats dropped by the villains, or boxes that you can throw, or whatever else. And the idea of picking up objects around you and using them in a fight is intelligent as hell. You should do the same if you are in a fight, hypothetically speaking. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Watch me stream Tuesdays and Thursdays 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or UTC 5 on both Twitch and YouTube right here. Join my Discord server, link down below, to get updates on when I stream next and to add your suggestions for new videos. And if you really like this type of content and want to see more, hit that join button to support the channel for $2.99 a month.